Okay, hey, what's up guys, it's Henry here and back with another video. Today I'll be taking a look at a phone that I consider to be one of the best options in the mid-range market segment, and that's none other than the Xiaomi Redmi Note 10 Pro. I think this is a fantastic device, but why? Stay tuned to the end of the video to find out why. And if you're not yet subscribed to the channel, a sub will be most appreciated, and a like will be appreciated as well if you find this video helpful. Let's begin. So this is a smartphone that I've been using for about 3 weeks, and yes, I used it that long and didn't want to put out a review because I really wanted to use this phone and find out for myself how good it was. And I feel like this is an excellent choice if you're looking for a mid-range smartphone that is almost premium out there in the market. And I'll tell you why really soon. But before I tell you, let me just put up the specs for the Redmi Note 10 Pro out there. You're finding this is a phone that has a 5020 mAh battery. It comes with the Snapdragon 732G processor with an Adreno 618 GPU. You've got 8 GB of RAM and 128 GB of storage in this variant, but there are two other variants that come with 6 GB of RAM and 64 GB of storage, and 6 GB of RAM and 128 GB of storage. You're also finding that this is a phone that comes with a 1080p AMOLED display. This is an AMOLED display, yes, on a mid-range device, and it's coming at 1080p and it refreshes at 120 Hz per second. I feel like you don't get this in a lot of other phones. This is just absolutely bonkers when you think of what you're getting for the price that you're paying. And what's that price? For the 8 GB 128 GB variant, you're paying 135,000 naira. That's absolutely incredible in terms of the price to value ratio. You can see the price for the other variants on the screen right now. Let's talk about the build quality here. Man, I mean, there's no contest looking at this device. Comes with IP53 rating for dust and water resistance. Not as good as IP68, but at least you've got something in there. You've got Gorilla Glass 5 on the back and front of this device. It's all glass, I mean, and it looks absolutely impressive. 108 megapixel main wide angle camera at the rear. You got an 8 megapixel ultra wide angle camera, a 5 megapixel macro camera, and a 2 megapixel depth sensing camera at the back of this device. At the front, you've got a 16 megapixel selfie camera at the front. This selfie camera will also do video at 1080p at 30 frames per second. At the back, you can do video up to 4K at 30 frames per second. Build quality here, awesome. Specs, awesome. Price, awesome. What else do you need in a phone? And that's where I really want to talk about the Redmi Note 10. It's served me really well as a daily driver for the past 3 weeks. The balance between the battery life and the overall software optimization on this phone is just really something that I appreciate. Now, I've been using this phone for 3 weeks and the battery life has held up pretty well. In the course of a day, it will take me always takes me to the end of the day. This I'm talking about around 9:30, 10 p.m. and I'll be left with about 15% of battery life left. And you've also got a 33-watt charger included in the box, which just juices this thing up in less than an hour. I mean, I think that's absolutely impressive when you're looking at a phone at this price point. Xiaomi does know how to release phones that are really compelling to buy and hard to choose from other brands. When comparing this device to other brands out there, it's really very difficult not to take a double look at the Xiaomi Redmi Note 10 Pro. It's an absolutely beautiful device. In terms of the software performance here, look, I've had no problems here, man. I just updated this to Xiaomi's MIUI 12.5 and it's made this experience on this phone even more enjoyable. I mean, they've added new features like where you swipe down and you get to your control panel, and you can just swipe over and you get to your notifications panel. I mean, little things like this just make this phone really enjoyable to use on a daily basis. And I just wanted to talk about Xiaomi for a bit. I think Xiaomi is doing a really good job here in Africa and in other parts of the world. They bring out phones with price points that are really impossible. Well, maybe not impossible, but really difficult to beat by other brands. I mean, what you're getting for this phone It's hard you find something like that in the market, and that's one of the things that I'm really impressed with. And when you consider what Xiaomi does with their MIUI software or MIUI skin over Android, it just makes things here really beautiful. So I wanted to talk about the Snapdragon 732G processor in here. It makes everything run smooth. I'm not much of a gamer, but if I was, I would be very pleased with this phone. So for those of you out there who like to play games on your phone, you should definitely be taking a look at a phone like the Xiaomi Redmi Note 10 Pro, because that processor in there will play basically all games on the Play Store without any problem at all. So for the price this phone is coming in at, the 8 gig and 128 gig variant is at 135,000 naira. I think that's an incredible deal. You don't get a lot of phones at that price point with this build quality and feature set that you get on this phone. And I think that most of you out there will not be disappointed if eventually you choose to go with the Xiaomi Redmi Note 10 Pro. I wasn't paid to do this video. I wasn't paid by Xiaomi to come out and praise this phone. This phone is a review copy and I've been using it for 3 weeks, and everything I've said here are my own take on what I feel about this phone. I feel that it's an excellent device if you choose to go for this one. So not everything on this phone is awesome. There's one thing, just one thing that I have a gripe with, and that's the 108 megapixel camera. I thought it would have been incredibly very good, but there are instances where it just was a hit or miss thing. I mean, I thought that at every shot, you may like put out this phone and take a shot, it was meant to be good. But again, you have certain misses. There are overexposures. Sometimes the highlights and dynamic range in the picture isn't so good. And there are times when even the picture's sharpness only just gets restricted to the center of the image. But basically, you don't see these things on the phone itself. It's when you push it to a PC that you begin to see the downsides to the camera on this phone. But again, if you're like me, and like a lot of people out there, and understand that you have a Snapdragon chip on this phone, you know that you can download GCam on this phone, which is what I've done. So you see on your screen scrolling right now, you can see that the images are quite similar, although the images from the default camera app is more saturated than what you get from the Google GCam. And again, you see that thing I was talking about where the center of the default camera app looks sharper than the edges. But on the GCam, the overall image is sharp. So it's your choice which one you want to go for. So in conclusion, I think that the Xiaomi Redmi Note 10 is one excellent mid-range device out there that's going to give other OEMs a run for your money. And if other OEMs don't sit up like Xiaomi is doing in terms of their pricing, I think they're going to be having a hard time making a lot of sales in this really very competitive market that we have here. Xiaomi is doling out a lot of phones that are really valuable, that look good, and the functions really well. And I think that's a great thing coming from Xiaomi. Guys, if you have any question on the Xiaomi Redmi Note 10, or if you'd like to see a comparison of this phone with other phones, do let me know what comparison you'd like to see down in the comment section, and I'll get back to as much of them as I can. Again, thanks for watching this review. If you have any questions, leave them down below, and I'll see you guys in my next video.